Hello, friends. It's Miss Finley. Um, Hope everything is doing well. I hope that you guys are being on your best behavior, making good choices, always being kind. Um, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. So, we're going to go ahead and dive in to section 9.3, which is similar right triangles. Uh, So our learning objective is to be able to identify similar triangles and then use their geometric means. We're going to actually look at the geometric means tomorrow, I think, because it can kind of be a doozy to do all in one day. So we're going to look at similar triangles today, and then focus on that. All right. So altitude of a triangle. So the word altitude means height in math and also just in like regular life. All right. So the height of a triangle is a segment formed from a vertex to the opposite side that is perpendicular to that side. That's just a really fancy way of saying if you have a triangle, any triangle will work. Let me just draw a triangle. If you go from one side, from one corner and draw a line straight down to the other side, that's an altitude. So it makes a right angle when it hits the opposite side. But we're just, it's the height of a triangle. And you can have three of them. Because if you were to start, for example, from this corner and go over till you hit the side, then that makes a right angle. Actually, I don't know if I drew that straight or not, but in theory, you can draw a line there that makes a right angle. So you're just looking, the altitude, it's the height of a triangle. If you go from one corner straight across to the other side so that they are perpendicular, perpendicular means that they hit at a right angle. All right. The word similar. So think back to, oh God, I don't know what chapter it would have been. But remember when you talked about congruent, we said that congruent means same size, same shape. All right, same shape, same size. Similar does not mean exactly the same. It means that it's the same shape, but different size. So it's bigger or smaller. Remember when we learned about dilations in chapter 4, I think? So same shape, different size. And we're talking about similar figures. The side lengths are proportional. And just to kind of review on that real fast, I'm just going to throw this in. The word proportional, or the word proportion, that's not how you spell proportional, excuse me. Proportion is two equal ratios. And a ratio is just comparing two numbers. So two equal fractions. So anytime two fractions are equal, then that's a proportion. And we can solve proportions by cross multiplying. All right? So when you have two equal fractions, to cross multiply, you multiply the fractions diagonally. All right, so for example, if you have A over B equals C over D, then you're going to cross multiply. So A times D equals B times C. All right, so for example, if we have 2 over x equals 13, 2 over x equals 10 over 13, those are equal fractions. So we can solve for x by cross multiplying. So 2 times 13 is, let's write it down for visual sake. So 2 times 13 equals x times 10, which is just 10x. All right, 2 times 13 is 26. 26 equals 10x. Divide both sides by 10 to get x by itself. 26 divided by 10 is going to be 2.6 equals x. All right, and that's it. X equals 2.6. So just cross multiply and then divide to get 10 by itself, or excuse me, to get x by itself. All right, so I'm going to give you guys about, let's say, 30 seconds. I'll give you a little longer. I'll give you a minute and a half because you might need to go grab a calculator to do the u-try. So 3/4 equals x over 10. Take a minute and a half. I don't think it'll take you that long, but just in case you need to grab a calculator. Go. A little less than 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. So when you cross multiplied, 3 times 10 is 30. 4 times x is just 4x. Then you have to divide both sides by 4 to get x by itself. So 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So x equals 7.5. All right. So that's cross multiplying. Quick review there. Hopefully a review. But, all right, so we're going to move on pretty quickly from that to the right triangles similarities theorem, except why is it not scrolling? Nope, not the right thing. Why isn't it scrolling? Hang on. Oh, gotta love technology, guys. Hey, it works. Okay. So the right triangle similarity theorem says if the altitude, remember altitude is the height of a triangle, so if an altitude is drawn to the hypotenuse of a right triangle, then the two triangles formed are similar to the original triangle and to each other. Okay, so if we have a right angle triangle, right? This triangle ABC is a right angle triangle where C is the right angle, which means that AB is the hypotenuse of that big triangle. So then the height is drawn from the right angle to the hypotenuse here, from C to AB. And that divides it into two small triangles. Triangle, if you make D where the height hits the hypotenuse, you end up with the big triangle ABC, And then the triangle on the left, which is ACD, and then the triangle on the right, which is BCD. Okay? And all three of those triangles are congruent to each other. Excuse me, not congruent, are similar to each other, which means that their side lengths are proportional. So they're the exact same shape, the angles are the same measure, they're just different sizes, but those sizes are proportional. And if you flip over on, so like triangle ABC is proportional to triangle CBD and proportional to triangle ACD. Yep, all three are similar to each other. All right, so if you flip on over to the back side, in my personal opinion, it's easier to see how the sides go together, like why they are proportional, if you rotate the triangles to be the same. So if we have this little triangle, oops, STU, and we rotate that to be in the same direction as the big triangle, and we have the medium triangle, I should do the medium, RTU, and rotate that to be in the same direction as the big triangle. And put this on the outside. Let's see. Okay, so RST. So we've got a little triangle, a medium triangle, and a big triangle that are all proportionate or all similar to each other. So let's look at this first example of how we can use that fact to actually find missing side lengths of these triangles. Okay? So it says a roof has a cross section that is a right triangle. So somebody built their house. I personally think their roof looks a little wonky, but hey, maybe that's how they wanted their house. So the roof actually makes a right triangle. This whole big roof is a right triangle where point Y up here is the right angle. The diagram shows the approximate dimensions of this cross section, or of the roof. Find the height H of the roof. Okay, so it says identify the similar triangles, redraw them in the same orientation. So in my opinion, this makes it a lot simpler if I take all three of the triangles and draw them so that they're facing the same direction. So I'm going to draw a little triangle, a medium triangle, and a big triangle that are all the same but different, same shape but different sizes. And then I'm going to label. So on the little triangle, which is, let me get a better color here. So on the little triangle, the hypotenuse, see, the right angle is W. The short side is WX, and the hypotenuse is XY. Okay, so I'm going to label WXY. The long leg is the height, or the long leg is H. The hypotenuse is 3.1 meters. Okay, so that was the small triangle there. Just taking it, turning it, and so that they're all in the same order, and labeling everything as with the corresponding parts. All right, now I'm going to look at the medium-sized triangle, which is the triangle on the left here. Okay. So here, W is still the right angle. The short side now is WY, and the hypotenuse is YZ. Okay. YZ is 5.5 meters. YW is H. And we don't really know what ZW is because we don't know, like we know what ZX is, but we don't know what WX is, so we can't subtract it to find ZW, okay? So that's all we know about ZYW, okay? Now I'm going to look at the big triangle, okay? Well, on the big triangle, Y is the right angle, YX is the short leg, XZ is the hypotenuse. XZ is 6.3 meters. XY is 3.1 meters. And YZ is 5.5 meters. Okay? So corresponding parts in their corresponding places. Once I have the similar triangles drawn out so that I can see what corresponds to what, you know, short sides with short sides, long side or long legs with long legs, hypotenuse with hypotenuse, hypotenodes, I don't know, hypotenuses. So it says to use the similar triangles to write a proportion to solve, or to involving the height so that we can solve for H. Corresponding side legs of similar triangles are proportional. So we've got a few options here, okay? I'm going to just go with the first option I see. But you can, actually I think I set mine up differently when I did it the first time. And you can go with whichever proportions work for you. So on my little triangle, I see that I'm given the hypotenuse and the long leg. Make a note of that. Hypotenuse and the long leg. So if I'm going to use those two measurements, I have to use hypotenuse and long leg from some other triangle. On the medium triangle, I am given the hypotenuse, but I'm not given any measurements for the long leg, so I'm not going to use the medium triangle this time. On the big triangle, I'm given the hypotenuse and the long leg. So I can do this. I can use the small triangle and the medium triangle, or excuse me, small triangle and the big triangle. Okay? So when I set this up, I'm going to say the hypotenuse over the long leg of the small triangle is equal to the hypotenuse over the long leg of the big triangle. All right? Hypotenuse over long leg equals hypotenuse over long leg. Okay? So corresponding parts and corresponding places. Once I have my proportions set up, all I have to do is cross multiply. Okay? So 3.1 times 5.5 equals H times 6.3. Oh, gonna pop out my calculator. 3.1 times 5.5 is 17.05. And h times 6.3 is just 6.3h. All right, then divide both sides to solve for h. So 6.3 divided by 6.3. Again, I'm just going to plug that in the calculator. Unless you just really want to do some long division by hand, you are more than welcome to, but you don't have to. All right, and that's a long decimal that goes on forever, so we're going to round it, let's say, to 2 decimal points. So 17.05 divided by 6.3 is about 2.71. So h is about 2.71 meters long. All right, so the height of this roof is about 2.7 or 2.71 meters. So step 1, draw the triangles so that they're in the same direction. Then use corresponding parts in corresponding places. So you could also, just as a quick side note, have said, okay, on the medium triangle you have hypotenuse over short leg. So you could have said hypotenuse over short leg of the big triangle. That would also have worked. Hypotenuse over short leg equals hypotenuse over short leg. We used hypotenuse of little triangle over long leg of little triangle equals hypotenuse of big triangle over long leg of big triangle. Just corresponding parts in corresponding places, cross multiply, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up here, but I want you guys to flip over and start working on the U-try. It's the exact same thing. I want you to first draw the 3 triangles, the little, medium, and big. Label everything. Then set up your proportions and solve. All right, I'm going to give you, let's say, 2 minutes on that. All right, go ahead and get started. I'll leave this displayed up here for those that still need to get a copy down. All right. Okay, so let me get back over. All right, so first up, draw your 3 triangles, little, medium, and big. And they don't all have to be facing in this direction. Like you could have drawn them all facing like upright or facing to the left or whatever, just so that they're all facing the same direction as each other. And I'm actually gonna do it this way. So little, medium, and big. Whoa, that's not a triangle. All right, and big. There we go. All right, so the little triangle here is this EHG, where H is the right angle, EH is the shortest side, and EG is the hypotenuse, and EG is 3, and HG is X. Yep. Let me double check all that. HG. Yep. Okay. So then we go on to the medium triangle, which is this one on the right. All right. So again, H is the right angle. HG is the shortest side. And GF is the hypotenuse. GF is 4. HG is X. And we don't know HF. Okay. All right, and then on to the big triangle, which is the whole triangle here, where that's just in the same orientation. So EG is the short side, EF is the hypotenuse, EF is 5 units long, GF is 4, and EG is 3. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you use the little triangle or the big triangle, or excuse me, the little or the medium. Okay, let's see. We used the little last time. Let's do it again. It's a good enough number, right? Okay. So we have the long leg and the hypotenuse of the little triangle. So we're going to use the long leg and the hypotenuse of the biggest triangle. We could use the medium, but we don't have a long leg, so we can't. Okay, so long leg, excuse me, hypotenuse over long leg is 3 over x equals hypotenuse over long leg, 5 over 4. Okay, so just hypotenuse over long leg equals hypotenuse over long leg. And we have 2 equal fractions. So we have a proportion that we can solve by cross multiplying. 3 times 4 equals x times 5. So 12 equals 5x. If you divide both sides by 5, you get x equals, I guess I could scroll that up, 2.4. X equals 2.4 units long. So this 2.4. Yeah, and that's it. Let's see. Where are we at time-wise? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Okay. I know that that's kind of short on time-wise of a lesson, I believe anyway. But the geometric mean it's not necessarily that much of a doozy, but it is kind of a separate concept. And if I was there teaching this, it would take a little longer. So I think I would cover it in 2 separate days. Um, so for the sake of processing time, we're going to start there. Or excuse me, stop there, and we'll do the geometric mean tomorrow. But this means that if you have this much extra time, I fully expect every single one of you guys to finish your homework in class, or at least work on it for the entire class period. And I do want you working until you're finished or until the light comes on. Don't get wild, don't get chatty. Get your work done. All right, I miss you guys. I hope that the week is going well. I think there's a couple of assemblies coming up soon, or maybe they already happened. I'm not real sure, but have fun, pay attention, be respectful, be kind. I'll see you soon. Bye.